Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the question for today's discussion is India becoming more inclusive society? Like Mr. Dua, my answer is also yes and no. Yes, first, the fact that all classes have been empowered by the Constitution and particularly through the election process, total equality. In fact, when Constitution of India was promulgated and universal adult franchise was introduced, which means men, women of 21 years of age, they were given voting rights. The Western world was quite surprised. They were aghast, in fact. How can a society, a nation, country with 86% illiteracy, divided into 565 kingdoms or principalities or whatever you want to name them, caste-ridden, communally divided, how will they run themselves? How will they manage their affairs? But the prophets of doom were proved wrong. The inclusive society which we are debating today was the intention of the Constitution, and Constitution did everything possible to ensure that that happens. You may not know or may know that while India, the poor country, with all the description which I gave equal voting rights to women from day one, America took 144 years to give equal voting rights to women. UK, the mother of modern democracies, took 100 years to do so. France, Italy, all those countries gave those rights in 45, 50. Switzerland, you will be surprised to know, shocked to know that they gave the equal voting rights to women in 1984. But universal adult franchise was the first decisive step for inclusion. Now, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, minorities, they all have an equal right, and in fact they are quite conscious of exercising their right. The illiterates, I have been asked this question several times, and whenever I go anywhere in the world, how come, what is the participation rate of the illiterates, the rural people and the tribal people in remote areas? They are surprised to know from me that in fact their participation is more, they are more enthusiastic about exercising the right than so-called people like us, so-called educated people who do not go out on the day of voting while it's a national holiday. It's a paid holiday for us. Then they sit in their drawing rooms and criticize the government and the political party, sab chor hai, kya vote dena. They try to justify. I have heard this statement many times. There have been 13 elections or 14 elections, but I have never voted in my life. They're proud of the fact that they've never voted. Now, instead of being embarrassed and ashamed about it, it's a fashion statement. And I think it needs to change. The disabled, the visually handicapped, the physically disabled, they must get an equal opportunity. And it has been the effort of the Election Commission to make sure that this inclusivity is a reality. We have taken many steps to ensure that women are able to come and participate very actively. In fact, some of the recent steps was paid such great dividends that we were very, very pleased. When 2010 Bihar election onward, there have been 13 states which have gone to poll. Everywhere, women outvoted men. Now, this is a great indication. And how did it happen? Of course, we set up a voter education division targeting them. There was a demand that we should have compulsory voting. We said nothing doing. Compulsion and democracy don't go together. They are antitheses. We want to use persuasion. We want to use motivation, education. And it worked. Then we targeted women and youth particularly, and they responded in a big way. In UP particularly, you will be happy to know, those of you who may not have heard, that voter participation, we talk about participation, increased by 30% over the previous election, and women's participation increased by 45% compared to previous election. But that is the very positive answer to the question that whether we are an inclusive society. Sure. We have the largest electorate in the world, but how large is the largest is not known to many people. We have more voters than all 50 countries of Europe put together, or all 54 countries of Africa put together, or 43 countries of North and South America put together, with an Oceania and Australia, New Zealand and 13 other countries thrown in for a small change. Still they are short of India. And same poor country is illiterate country. By lunchtime, the nation knows the result. Our democracy that way is very, very mature, and we need to be happy about. One of the secrets of our success is electronic voting machine, a wonder machine of democracy that enables us to declare results by lunchtime. I have been asked this question, whether EVM is illiterate friendly. Will they find it difficult? I said that electronic EVM was actually invented for the illiterate, because pressing a simple single button is the easiest thing anyone can do, which is much easier than putting a stamp on a ballot paper properly folded, and if the stamp crosses a line or leaves a smudge, then there is an invalid vote. Oh. So idea was to include the illiterate in the process of democracy. Then every single machine, 1.4 million machine, have a braille strip so that the visually handicapped can vote. Every polling station, 1 million of them have a ramp so that the physically disabled can enter the polling station. All these are indications and efforts for inclusive society. Then participation, the election, the efforts have been very, very significant. Now, I recall Shashi Tharoor's speech, which he gave 4 or 5 years ago, when he referred to a Muslim president, President Kalam, giving oath of office to Sikh Prime Minister, nominated by a Christian Congress leader in a country which is 82% Hindu. Now, that is the beauty of India, and that's something we can really be all very proud of. And even today, we have a Muslim vice president. I was reading an article which automatically gets forwarded to me on my iPad under Google Alert. An article written in Pakistani papers when Asif Ibrahim was appointed as IB chief. And they named 4 or 5 people from Vice President and IB Chief and Chief Justice of India, S.Y. Qureshi, so and so, so and so, and then Salman Khan, Amir Khan, and all that. A big line. He says, can this happen in Pakistan? And then the article went on to say that unfortunately it cannot, it does not. Whereas in India, it's a very normal activity, normal development. But there is a downside also. There's no part of it. That same elections which have brought about inclusion of all, they have also started creating division and rift. There is more polarization on communal lines, more polarization on caste lines, because the vote banks are divided on this basis. There is appeal to voters on the basis of caste and creed and community. People who did not know their caste 60 years ago, now they know their caste, subcaste and subcaste, because that is how the vote banks are identified and they're approached. Then it's an unfortunate reality. That's something we need to be worried about, that the communal divide is actually on the rise. There may be some top names we can proudly talk about, but at the grassroots, there is a kind of polarization happening, which is very, very dangerous. Now, we keep reading the report in the media how a Muslim does not get a house in a Hindu locality. It is happening with the sickening the regularity all over the country, and we need to be concerned about it, because this is what is creating ghettos. Now, besides the inconvenience for a particular community, it is very harmful in the long run for India's inclusiveness. Now, when a Hindu has never seen a Muslim except in a movie or on the TV, with a cap and a daddy and with a gun, what images will be created? The stereotypes will get created because there is no personal interaction. You will have images only created by the other party, which could be a motivated party. I remember 15 years ago when Russia, Soviet Union had broken up, there was a briefing in the IB, of joint secretaries, and one expert, IB expert, made a very interesting prophecy. He said that now that communism is gone, America will have to invent an enemy. And that enemy, he went on to say, will be Islam. Because they need an enemy to keep the others united. Now, same trend, same kind of phenomenon you can find in other places also, even in India, that some stereotyped images of different communities are important politically for their political power. We need to be worried about it. I remember reading Robilat Thapar's statement that ghettos are easy to control and easier to destroy. Now that's a frightening reality, because all you need to do is switch off their light and cut off their power connection. In 10 days they will perish of epidemic. Now we need to do something to reverse it. Then at the same time, I must end on a very positive note, although I'm quite tempted that if you speak for 10 minutes you earn a yellow flower, if you speak for 15 you get a red flower. What if I like the bouquet lying there? So, but you know, although this is a kind of a bleak scenario, but at the same time the kind of response we receive from secular Hindus, the way they fight. In fact, sometimes they are more on the hit list, they are higher on the hit list of communalists, the secular Hindus who are standing up for these issues. So long as we have people like them in the media and in society, I think there is a great hope for us. Maybe these are temporary aberrations. There are ups and downs in any nation's history. Ultimately, balance will be restored, because India, by its way, ethos, history, character, nature, is a very inclusive country, very secular country, and it will live up to its traditional image. Thank you very much.